Hey Hunters, Lord here, back with another Endgame set video for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. In today's video, we'll be covering sets for Switch Axe. I've already covered quite a few Endgame sets for other weapons on the channel, so if things like Charge Blade, Heavy Bowgun, or Dual Blades interest you, be sure to check those videos out. I've actually got quite a few sets prepared for you guys today. We're going to start off with a pre-Fatalis, right after you beat the story, Master's Touch set, that you could actually use without any endgame grinding. Then I've mocked up an elemental set, and finally a full raw DPS Fatalis set. First, just a quick disclaimer, just because I use a skill or armor piece or weapon does not mean that you have to, and just because I don't use something that you use doesn't mean that you can't use it. You don't have to copy me 100%, I'm not telling you how to play the game or that you have to play like me, and if you like a certain skill or a certain weapon, then you're totally free to use it. Monster Hunter is just a game, and you should play the way that makes it fun for you. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the first set. The first set we'll be looking at today is available pre-Fatalis, and should be available right after beating the final boss of the Iceborne story. This set utilizes 3 pieces of Teostra armor, as well as 2 pieces of Raging Brachydios. Our weapon of choice is the Lightbreak Axe, which is again from Raging Brachydios, since it has great slots, good raw, strong blast status, as well as purple sharpness. My weapon is augmented for attack and health, but of course you can switch this around to fit your preferences. We get exactly 100% crit on tenderized weak spots when the monster is enraged, allowing this set to theoretically have infinite sharpness uptime. We of course have our regular skills that are in most of our sets like Agitator 7, Attack Boost, Crit Eye, Weakness Exploit, and Crit Boost. I slotted in Power Prolonger level 3 as I think it's a must-have for Switch Axe, as it actually doubles the time you have with your sword mode charge. This allows for tons of extra file damage for both ground play and ZSD spam. If you don't have all the decos you see here, you can actually drop down to attack level 4 in order to make sure you hit Crit Eye level 6, as that's what's needed to get that 100% critical chance. This set should get you through until you can farm up the endgame DPS set of Fatalis, which we'll talk about next. For the max DPS raw Switch Axe, we'll of course be using the true Fatalis End Switch Axe. Mine is augmented for health and affinity. You should have the health augment regardless, as we're going to be using peak performance, and the health augment will help you keep your health topped up, but you can change the affinity augment if you prefer something else. The armor is, surprise surprise, 4 pieces of Fatalis with the Culve Beta legs and the Challenger Charm 5. Again, this is pretty standard for endgame raw sets, so most of you would have seen this coming. Again, I opted for, besides our normal DPS skills, Power Prolonger 3 to double the time our sword stays charged. I also went for Divine Blessing 5 and Evade Window 3, but you can feel free to change those combination decorations out for any other quality of life skills that you prefer. You may also notice a single level to earplugs. You may be wondering why just 1 level, as that won't really block much of anything. However, when performing your zero-sum discharge, you actually get 4 levels of earplugs automatically on that move specifically. So by slotting in a single level into the armor, roars will not knock you off when performing a ZSD, meaning that roars are now a free window to get in one of your biggest damage attacks. Overall, this set is pretty much going to be the best for just about everything. However, if you like Elemental Switch Axe, I have prepared an Elemental set. For the weapon for Elemental sets, we'll of course be using the Kiar for all elements except for Dragon, which actually uses the Elatrion Switch Axe. Mine are typically augmented for maximum element, but if you like the health augment, you can feel free to run that instead. Just be sure to change out the charm here in the set from the Führer charm to the Challenger charm, as you won't get much use out of Resentment when you're constantly healing. Of course, we have to use 5 pieces of Safajiva armor, as it gives us a massive plus 40% affinity and 150 element when our weapon is drawn. Couple this with the innate critical element from the Kiar Switch Axes, and we're looking at some really juicy damage numbers on elemental weak matchups. Since there's no way to really manage sharpness with the Safajiva set, I utilized a sharp deco to get protective polish, which gives us 60 seconds of unlimited sharpness after sharpening our weapon. Now the Evasion Plus jewel in the waist can be dropped for another decoration if you do prefer something else. Now as a small side note, if you're using the Elatrion Switch Axe for Dragon, you could also consider dropping in 2 pieces of Velkhana armor with 3 pieces of Safajiva armor in order to gain critical element with just regular Dragon Vein Awakening. You lose out on some crit and some element, but the option is there if you want it, and sometimes it can lead to a little bit higher damage. So hopefully this video helped push you in the right direction for what you want to do for your endgame switch axe. If you did find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated, as it's a totally free way to support my channel. If you're new to the channel, new to Monster Hunter, or if you just liked what you saw today, do consider subscribing for more Monster Hunter content just like this. I'm slowly working through a bunch of the different endgame sets for weapons, and so if that's something that interests you, the best way to make sure you don't miss out on it is to subscribe to the channel. With all that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.